Okay, so obviously today our discussion is about digital marketing. Before we even begin, I'm just curious if anyone knows what the true definition of digital marketing is, or would like to take a crack at it, or just what your ideas are on digital marketing. Yes?
Advertising on a moving billboard.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? All right. So defining digital marketing is the marketing of products or services using digital channels to reach consumers. So that includes mobile development, email marketing, SEO and SEM, that's search engine optimization and search engine marketing, social media and website development. So digital is just not, it's not just another channel for marketing, but it requires a whole new approach to marketing itself, and it also requires a whole new understanding of our consumers. And it also requires that companies analyze and quantify the value of downloads from websites and mobile apps, tweets on Twitter and likes on Facebook. And I know a lot of times as business owners, we want to see how all of our efforts in advertising move towards the bottom line, and the bottom line is sales. And a lot of times there is really just intrinsic value in digital marketing, but there's ways where we can analyze and quantify the information that we do receive from placing digital marketing. So the first thing that I want to talk about is websites. I firmly believe that websites is the foundation to all digital marketing. Pretty much anything that you put out there online is going to link back to your website. So we're going to start with your website. Your website should emulate your physical business and the personality of your business. And basically, how to better explain that, you have your physical business and you have your presence. And it has its own personality. People get a feel and an environment, and they have an idea of the atmosphere when they walk into your business. That needs to be mirrored over to your website online. So if you put yourself into that mindset, it kind of helps you with design and direction of content. The exact same feeling that people should get when they walk into your store or into your business is the exact same feeling they should get whenever they visit your website. Original content. A lot of times businesses and the services and products that they provide overlap. And so sometimes we see content on other websites where we really like how this was worded, or we like how this was said. You need to be as original as possible. The more content that you copy from other websites, or the more ideas that you copy from other websites, Google actually ranks your website lower in search engine optimization if the content is duplicated across the board and across multiple websites. So you need to be as original as possible. You also want to keep it simple. Anything too complex for your users is going to drive them away from your site. They won't spend as much time on your site. It needs to be simple and easy to read, easy on the eyes. It also needs to be mobile friendly. So recently, Google came out with a new algorithm as far as how websites are shown within searches. So Google searches now are happening more on mobile devices than on desktops. So it is even more imperative that your website is mobile friendly, because as more people are creating searches on their mobile devices, Google then is showing websites that are mobile friendly as top search results. And that also goes into SEO, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then also easy navigation. You definitely don't want to make any of your content or your information that you want your users to view to be difficult to find online. Okay, so SEO is search engine optimization. It's the process of affecting the visibility of a website or a web page in a search engine's unpaid results. So that's something to keep in mind, that these are unpaid avenues. Search engine optimization considers how search engines work, what people search for, and then actual keywords or search terms typed into the search engine. So basically, SEO is the anticipation of consumer search behavior. And that differs from industry and individual businesses. So the old way of doing this, basically, and I don't know if anyone remembers this, everyone talked about keywords. You need keywords in your website, and you need as many keywords as possible. And we need to put not only your keywords, but your competitors' keywords, and then you're going to be first on the first page of Google. That's actually now called black hat SEO. It's almost kind of fixing the game. And Google then has changed the way that they index your website. That's kind of going back to original content on your website and why it's so important to do that. The new way, keywords based on content of the site, geographic location, and originality of content. So Google and other search engines are taking into consideration exactly the terms that you are using, where you're located, and trying to take that extra step to find you the best search results possible. And so that's why the whole keyword game, yes, it is still important to have keywords in the back end of your website. It's still important to do those things. That's not the only avenue to go through anymore with search engine optimization. And then one big thing to keep in mind with SEO is that all of these are unpaid avenues. And they all deal with your website, which is why we started with the website as your foundation, and now we're building on to how to make your website, what's the word I'm looking for? Not so much how to make your website on the first page, but how to make your website exactly mirror what you anticipate your consumers to be searching for. And a lot of times as business owners, we find that hard because we are so focused on our business, and then we think that, well, people are going to search for us this way, and people are going to search for us this way, and using these terms. But sometimes it's good to take a step back, do a little bit of research, and then find out what that anticipation of the consumer search behavior is going to be. So part of our checklist for search engine optimization, properly titled pages within your website. And this is something really important too. A lot of people don't take time to look at their website and see what the actual pages within their website are titled. So this morning I just did a search on Google for new tires. And we'll take a closer look. So here it says, now you can buy tires online with confidence. Use our tire finder tool to search by vehicle or size. That is the title of that web page. So if you have a website that someone built for you and all of the pages are titled page 1 and page 2 and page 3, sometimes that's what's going to pop up right here. And what's great about this too, and some people don't even take the time to look at how Google actually pulls websites for your search. I searched for new tires. And so then you can see that the word tires and the word tire here are in bold. And so then a lot of times that will help you understand too how people are searching for your business. Original content that adequately describes your business. Oh, and this is another thing. Your important content on your website needs to actually be on your page. A lot of times we have websites that are built for ease of management. So we have a lot of graphics with text, or we have a lot of PDFs that are uploaded, and a lot of times those graphics and those PDFs are not indexed into Google. So some important information that you have on a PDF that you've uploaded onto your website, you think that people are going to be able to find that information by searching for certain keywords, and they won't unless it is physically on the page of your website. And then again, going back to meta tags, keywords and descriptions are important. And then something else to keep in mind. Geographic location has changed the game with search engine optimization. So a long time ago too, back in the day, a lot of businesses wanted to be #1 on page 1 of Google. And that's great. And you can still get there as long as your users are within a certain geographic location of your business. So Google now has taken better care of their users and said, you know what, I'm only going to show you relevant and adequate search results in the area that you're in. And so it's part of an algorithm that Google uses, and it was Google Pigeon in 2014, and it's relevant distance and ranking parameters. And so that's something to keep in mind too, that it's not a game to be #1 on page 1 of Google for your entire industry. It'll be #1 on page 1 for your geographic area. And then something else to keep in mind, Google Plus. Although it is a social media network, it is phenomenal for SEO. And I'll show you an example of that. Do any of y'all have Google Plus accounts for your business, or utilize that for SEO or to complement your website? Okay, so just to kind of show you, which I'm sure some of you already know, when you search for something in Google, the first couple of links are going to be your paid ads, and which we'll talk about that in a second, which is search engine marketing. And then these are going to be all of your organic top results, which is where SEO comes into play, because everything for search engine optimization is organic and unpaid. And then again, here's another example of a properly titled web page for SEO. You can see up here that they put Braden's baseball cards, and then they put 3 different major aspects that they thought that people were going to use as far as keywords: buy cards, baseball news, and then card prices. So then when you Google baseball cards, you can see that Google puts in bold baseball and cards. Okay, so this is where Google Plus comes into play with your search engine optimization. So you go to Google, you search for something, and then you see all of these locations that pop up. Is everyone pretty familiar with this? Okay. All of that depends on your Google Plus account. It has nothing to do with anything else other than having a Google Plus account. And part of that is you can see under every single search that it lists a link to their Google Plus page. So that's something to keep in mind too. If you are looking at how people are searching for you, how are you being found online, it's important to open up an active Google Plus account and then make sure that all of your contact information is updated. Because a lot of times our users, because I just read that everyone is pretty much searching through their mobile devices. If you have an incorrect telephone number listed in Google Plus, or you're not even active, then they can't call directly from their cell phone. So we want to make it as easy as possible for people to make that connection from searching for you online to contacting you. So search engine marketing is actually the paid per clicks, where unlike SEO, where everything is organic and unpaid, this is where you actually run ads through a search engine to help your search engine ranking. And like I said, it's typically done through pay-per-click. And then this is where keywords are key. I couldn't think of another word, sorry. And this is the time when you can use competitors' keywords. So unlike in SEO, where people were just cramming their competitors' keywords into the back end of their website, this is where you can be competitive. And a good example of this is the Chevrolet Silverado versus the Ford F-150. So those are 2 very comparable vehicles. And what would be beneficial to different brands would be, because they are comparable vehicles and people cross-shop these models, someone who's running an ad for Chevrolet would want to put keywords for the F-150 into their ad, which basically says, all right, I'm going to anticipate that a user is going to search for an F-150, and I'm going to put my Silverado ad on that page because it is a like product. And that's a way that you can kind of get ahead of your competitors and be in that game as far as online marketing is concerned. So email marketing. Does anyone in here participate in email marketing? Perfect. So email marketing is used to build loyalty, trust, and brand awareness to current and potential customers. Notice that I didn't say it is used for sales. And that's something to keep in mind too. As we go through all of these, everything pretty much has been about awareness and not so much about sales or pitching. And I want you to keep that in mind as we move forward. So I like to say that email marketing is the new direct mail. Direct mail definitely has its place, but email marketing kind of took what direct mail did and then gave us metrics to use. So unlike mailing someone a postcard and then just crossing your fingers and hoping that they got it in with all of their bills, or they didn't just throw it away, or they didn't just put it on the counter and didn't look at it, email marketing allows us to track what they're reading, what they're looking at, which I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, who opened it, when they opened it, what they clicked on, and if they forwarded the message. So does that kind of freak you out a little bit whenever you think about the emails that you receive and how you click around, that people are watching? And then what's excellent about email marketing is that now it provides automation. So let me show you an example, I think, of a good email. So obviously they've provided their social icons, which is important for continued connectivity. There's a clear title, so new online, for the fall season. And then there's multiple options of products. And there's graphics, it's eye-catching. And then what I liked about this is that the business also created categories. And I see that as how the business anticipated how people were going to be searching by the season. So then you've got, and I know it's small, there's teacher ideas, there's crafter's corner, and then there's wedding ideas. So on top of having their specific categories of products, they've actually broadened it and created some of their own to anticipate some of the needs of their customers at that time. Then there's a special offer, and then like I said, it's eye-catching and it's easy to digest. So going back to automation, let's say you're Dollar Tree and you set this up, and then you're looking at your metrics. Someone opens this up and they click on Halloween. What's excellent about automation and email is that right after that person clicks that link on Halloween, they'll be sent a follow-up email that is specifically about Halloween. That's automated. So how much easier is that for you? And less time consuming for you. And it's just about follow-up with your customers. If we're going to take the time to create an email, or we're going to take the time to tell our customers about what's going on or what's new, then we also need to take the time to anticipate further information, to communicate with them further. Which brings me to social media. So how many of you are active on social media for your business? Perfect. So basically the definition for social media are websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. And typically for a business, the foundation of that is Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and Instagram. How many of you have Facebook for your business? Twitter? Pinterest? YouTube? Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. YouTube is the second largest search engine to Google. And that's because Google owns YouTube. And then Instagram. Okay. I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit. Social media is a two-way conversation, and it is not a sales pitch. So what I like to tell my clients, I give an example of a coffee shop. I go into Starbucks and I get my cup of coffee and I sit down with a business owner. And essentially, I'm the person who has liked your page and you're the business owner, so you're the page. And if I sit down with you at a coffee shop and all you do the entire time is talk to me about your sales and your business, and I don't get a word in inchwise, there's not a community that won't be enjoyable in person. So we have to take whatever will be enjoyable in person and move that online whenever we're talking about socializing online. So there's etiquette that's involved. And as a business owner, when we want to talk about how to benefit our bottom line, we want to look at what are our customers enjoying? What are they looking for? So we end up asking a lot of questions, and we end up listening. And so those are two main things in social media that I think businesses forget, because They think that it's a platform for sales, when really it's a platform to listen and to start a conversation. Users want to see a personality. Again, moving away from the business itself and being more personable. They want to make a connection. And then just like what I said, businesses need to listen and respond. And then that response also needs to be in a timely manner. People are more willing to sit behind their computer or to get onto their cell phones and talk about a business than they would to call or walk into a business and either compliment or complain about anything. And so this is something that I think businesses lose in the long run. They don't respond in a timely manner. And a lot of times they don't listen. And part of listening is making a change as well. And so then if you hear over and over again that you have certain reviews or people are complaining about a certain thing or they have suggestions about something and you're not listening, you're not responding, then people see that as if you were talking to them in person and you basically kind of said, well, I kind of don't care. And then social media provides metrics and targeting that traditional advertising lacks. So those of you that are on Facebook, do any of you run ads? No?
I've tried it, I just haven't gotten anything out of it.
No?
No.
Okay. Facebook ads, in my opinion, are the most phenomenal thing to come to marketing, period. There is no other outlet, online or in traditional media, that you can specifically target a demographic with your product and your service. So you think about you personally, you set up your Facebook page. Within that Facebook page, you gave them your birth date, you gave them your location, where you went to school, what you studied, and then being active on social media, you've allowed Facebook to see what you're interested in, things that you've liked, things that you haven't liked. And me as a business, I'm able to access that information and then run ads to you. And if my service or my product is something that is going to match up with what you like and dislike and your interests are, and what you've shown Facebook that your interests are, then it's very compatible, and it's a really good relationship. I could go on and on about ads online, especially through Facebook, but I won't do that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
Can you talk about some of the downfalls of that? Like why it wouldn't work, what makes it work, and what makes it fail? Okay.
I think that all goes back to a combination of the anticipation of your consumer behavior, but then also your demographic. A lot of times people, business owners or people who are in their business, think that they have a full comprehension of who they're targeting. And a lot of times that might be off, or they don't already look at you. You have access to your insights right now, and you can go back to your business Facebook page and pull up the insights, and you can see right now what your fan base is, so what the demographics of your fan base currently is right now. And then you can go to the Reach tab and see, okay, well, who am I reaching with my information? And if that is completely off with your goal of your target demographic, then you can change that through ad placement. I think you can go wrong with ads if you are blindly placing ads and then saying, maybe putting too much money, or the graphics that you're using aren't eye-catching, or your bids per day aren't where they need to be. There's definitely a game that's involved, which if you do have any questions, and I'll just throw that out there, we can help with training. I can come help set those up. We can also run those for you. So that's a service that we provide through DesignWorks as well. But social media analytics also give you an insight to who currently is interested in your business. not only in the future, but who is looking at your business right now, which I think is information that we don't get on a daily basis, because and we don't ask people every day, how did you hear about us? Why are you interested in the business? And it's phenomenal information that I think is highly underused by businesses. Did that help? Okay, so taking everything that I talked about today, websites, SEO, SEM, email marketing, and social media, the key things that we need to do and take away from this is to be original. Don't copy content from other websites. And a lot of that is about sitting there and saying, all right, well, what's my mission? What's my vision? What is my business here for? How can I write this love story about my business to get people, intrigued in what I do? Be yourself. Be active. Just because you opened up a Facebook page and you said, hey, I'm here, that doesn't mean that you are running a Facebook page. And then just because you created a website 10 years ago doesn't mean that you're done with it. Websites need to be updated constantly. There are new things, there are new graphics, there are new functionality. So it's about being active and then being present. And the difference there is, responding in a timely manner, communicating well with customers, listening, and then be patient. And part of that is not being overbearing. So the don'ts. Don't pitch. The game in digital marketing is to be completely you, 100% you, whatever that is for your business. And then basically you want to put you out there in front of everybody and then have them come to you. You have a great conversation with them and you end up giving them a product or a service that they enjoy. So it's not a cutthroat game. It's not about pitching. It's not about my sales and their sales. Because people will go somewhere for great customer service. They'll go. All of this is tied together again with the personality of your business, how you run your business, your mission, and your vision. Don't be overbearing. Don't talk too much. Let them talk. Ask questions and let them talk to you. Don't hide. A lot of people think that if they avoid social media or they avoid being online, that they don't have to deal with any of that. But people are going to talk online, whether you're there or not. So it is proactive to be on as many outlets as you can, social media, websites, so that you can see what people are saying about you and then engage in that conversation. And then, like I said, don't ignore your audience. Your customers are going to talk to you online. And just because it's a conversation typed online doesn't mean that it's any less valuable than a telephone conversation or someone who's visiting you in your office. Okay, I know that I talk really fast, and we went through that information really fast. So, and we covered a lot of different topics. So do you have any questions?
You might tell them about how Google now your site is to be mobile ready.
We did. We talked about that. Yeah. No, that's okay.
I do have a question because I'm curious about the difference between boosting a post and paying to boost a post versus having an ad on Facebook. So what are the advantages to us? I mean, here at the BBB, we boosted posts to get our reach out. What does that get us versus, I mean, I don't know that we can really run an ad, but what's the benefits of doing that and getting that reach out there?
That's a really great question. And by definition, Facebook views a boosted post as an ad. So okay. You are technically running an ad if you boost a post. Something that a lot of people don't know is that Facebook has become more user-friendly towards the users and maybe a little less friendly towards the business. So let's take an example. I friended the BBB's Facebook page. And then let's say, and which this wouldn't be the case, but let's say that maybe for the past week, the BBB hasn't posted anything that I'm going to engage with. And this goes back to the conversation that I was telling you about, the coffee shop. You want to keep an engaging conversation with your users, because if you don't, then you will lose your users in their newsfeed. You won't lose them as fans on the Facebook page, but you will lose them in their newsfeed. So basically, if you do not keep your users engaged, Facebook sees their lack of their lack of activity as spam. And then Facebook, being considerate to the users, will no longer show your posts in their newsfeed. So given that information, at any given point, organically, Facebook only shows your posted information to 10 to 15% of your fan base. So if you have 300 Facebook fans, on a good day, you might have 30 people see your post. So your question was about boosting a post and what the difference is between boosting a post and running ads. Boosting a post is strictly about engagement. So basically, when you boost a post, you're trying to draw your fan base back in to that conversation at the coffee table to keep them there to see your posts in the future. Does that make sense? So boosting a post is about engagement. It's just about bringing that fan base back to you, so that as you continue that conversation, they'll start seeing your information in their newsfeed.
Okay. So after you boost a post, would it be smart then to, we try to post. We don't post every day. Just some days it's just not possible. But would that be the best suggestion, to keep that engagement up, to post every day, or post multiple times a day?
That's a great question, and I think a lot of people go to social media seminars and listen to different experts say, you have to post 3 times a day, and if you're not posting 3 times a day, then you are, losing your fans. That is different for every business and every industry, from retail to medical to financial. I mean, it's just different, because your users, you have to be respectful of your users, whether or not, with retail and women, post a sale 3 times a day, that's phenomenal. Posting about mortgage rates 3 times a day, that's kind of, you don't want to do that. So that it's hard to say. There's not a magic formula as to how many times a day, but I can tell you that going back to the not pitching and having a conversation, there is adequate placement for sales talk, not necessarily a pitch. So then basically you take something, you post something that you think is going to be engaging, you boost it, you can continue that conversation, you can post the next day, but keep in mind that you just boosted that post, so you've now drawn in multiple people onto your page. That would probably be a good time to talk business.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Well, we worry about putting too many scams out there, because, after a little while it gets a little negative.
Yes.
So.
And a lot of people are scared, I think it's great for people to have a very professional feel to their business and to take pride in that. But again, people want to see a personality. They want to see you be real. They want to connect with you. And people don't necessarily connect with a business as they connect with people. So the more personable you can make your posts and your social media, then the more conversation you're going to have. I think the more that people will open up and be a little bit more responsive.
We've seen that. Just the results from when we posted about Tornado Day. Wow. Our numbers were phenomenal compared to what we normally do. And we didn't boost the post.
Yes.
It was just that, what do you call it, when exponential, I guess, when people are sharing it,
yes,
or whatever. So that was phenomenal. And when we post pictures of people, when we have the ABCs or when we, the special needs class that cleans our building, when they came in and we took pictures of them and posted that, oh my goodness,
Yes.
it was a great result. So we're aware that personalization really makes a difference. It's just sometimes it's hard to have all the time.
It is, and it does become time consuming. It's an investment. It's not just something on the side that you can open up and let sit there. It's an investment of time and money, and but you will get that in return as you build relationships. It's about relationship building. Yes.
I wanted to make a quick comment about digital marketing and digital media, the social sphere that is online. I think Wichita Falls, obviously, we're not in Dallas, we're not on the East Coast, and we're not on the West Coast. So, you know how they say we get everything about 5 years late. But this is a way of doing business on the East Coast and the West Coast and the metropolitan areas. And we're 5 years behind here, but this is not going away. So I know I'm preaching to the choir here. You guys are here for a reason. But if you take anything back, take back to whoever you report to, that this is something that you have to use for today's marketplace. A lot of people think that they can just mow lawns. They don't need a Facebook. They don't need digital marketing. But when it comes down to it, they're losing business to their competition that is already using these tools and is perfecting their craft digitally. And they will be working themselves out of a job at some point, because how are you going to find out about them? Where are you going to find it? Everybody in here has a smartphone. Everybody has searched for a particular category, or they've searched for a service online. And that's where it's going. I mean, what, 2-3 weeks ago that they stated that search was 60. It's like, it was 40-60, right? And that means 40% of the searches were mobile, 60% was desktop. Well, that's all changed in the past month or two, that they're just now catching up with it. I mean, obviously it's already there, but more searches are being done now mobilely than are done on a desktop. So I just wanted to preach to the choir a little bit here. Make sure you go back and tell them it's not something that is an accessory. It's not something that's optional. We deal with businesses day in and day out and trying to get them into the digital marketplace. Sometimes these guys are like, no, we don't have a fax. No, we don't have a website. No, we don't have a Facebook. And I'm like, how are you going to exist in this marketplace? And they say, well, we just fix radiators, and I said, well, what's your contingency plan? How are you going to make this last the next generation? How are you going to make any money off of it trying to sell it in your business? So those are some definite considerations we need to make, and that needs to be told to our business community. Because in Dallas, you can't get by without it. East Coast, West Coast, you have to have it. That's the way they're living. But here, we're 5 years behind. We're catching up. So just wanted to make that comment.
Absolutely. And you brought up something else too that reminded me to say it is not beneficial for a business to put all of their eggs into one basket, especially when we're talking about digital marketing. Because if you say, all right, I don't have a website, but I only have a Facebook page, what if Facebook went away tomorrow? And then if that's the only social outlet that you have, then what are you going to do? So it's good to branch out. Look at different outlets, do some different things. Don't put all of your eggs into one basket, because then you just become so versed in that one thing, and it is the internet, and so, I don't know, something could happen. But you just have to keep in mind that there are better avenues. Facebook may not always be the big monster out there. It could be something else, so I just wanted to throw that out there too as something to keep in mind. Any other questions?
Would you say though right now, if you were going to choose an outlet, that Facebook would be the place, if you were going to have one presence, Facebook would be the presence above Twitter and Instagram?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend one presence, but if there were, if I were to prioritize, I would say Facebook, and then maybe my second one would be Pinterest. And Pinterest is phenomenal because it actually ties into your search engine optimization game. Every single pin that you put out there can have a link to a page on your website. So the more incoming links to your website is phenomenal for your ranking. Yes?
You mentioned a little bit about Google Plus and the benefits of that as far as it goes with showing like location and your information on like the Google search. But are there any other benefits to having one, and what's the upkeep of that? Like, would you use it like you would a Facebook page, or
I
is
would
it just?
I would probably post on that once a week, maybe, and that might be excessive, but it's good to go in, update your information, have a great description, and then maybe post a few times a month. And then part of those posts, you know, that also goes into, I didn't even talk about a blog. You know, I didn't even talk about any of that. And then even if you use a blog, I would recommend using Blogger only because it's Google's outlet for, so yes, Bing exists and Yahoo exists, and there are some other search engines that exist. They follow the lead of Google. So I definitely recommend playing the Google game. But part of that, to answer your question with the Google Plus, it's not a huge upkeep as far as social media outlets are concerned, especially if you're already utilizing Facebook and YouTube. You can, you know, repost some of that information directly onto your Google Plus page, and then some of that information is indexed through searches as well. So that only helps your SEO. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, I was just.
Okay.
I've heard that Google Plus, I've been reading, is going to be evolving into something different, being photos, streams, and hangouts. How is that going to affect businesses?
Those already exist right now, which is phenomenal. And I don't know if any of y'all, have any of y'all gone on to Google Plus and done hangouts or anything like that? No? You should do it. Just go back. Well, first of all, because you listened to this great presentation, I would hope that you will go back to your office and create a Google Plus account for your business. And then just click around. But your question is, how are those things going to
Okay. Businesses have Google Plus account.
it's only going to make it more important. Absolutely, and that kind of goes back to, you know, you go back to your Google search and the maps that pop up, that's solely based on your Google Plus account and whether or not you have one. And so the more that Google, I call it the Google game, you know, they're going to make all of their outlets take precedence over anyone else's. And so Vimeo can try to catch up with YouTube. It won't, because Google owns YouTube. And yes, there are certain, if you look at, I should have brought a map of the usage of Google Plus and maybe the different social media outlets, which would go back to kind of your conversation of, it's basically almost a heat map of the United States based on social media outlets that are used in different areas. And Google Plus is used pretty highly in different areas of the United States. It's not, people joke around and say that the only people that use Google Plus are employees of Google. But if they decide to change the game and make a Google Plus account more important, or that it's indexed higher in search, or that people can find you easier, then it's that much more important for a business to have their presence on Google Plus. Which then just goes back to me saying we can't put all of our eggs into one basket of Facebook or one basket of, well, I have a website and I guess people will find me. That's a good thing too. I say stuff and then it just kind of comes to me. That's what I tell people too about digital marketing, because a lot of times they just say, well, I have a website. So you open up your business, your physical business, and it's opening day, you know, the ribbon was cut. Do you just kind of stand there and wait for people to find you? No. That's where advertising and marketing comes in. You tell people that you're open. And part of telling them that you're open is getting the word out. So it's the same thing online. If we think about our website online as our physical business presence here, then you can't just open up a website and say, all right, well, I'm online. I guess people will find me. You know, there's SEO and SEM and digital and email to put ourselves in front of people online, just like we would put ourselves in front of people in person. Any other questions? I just wanted to put that on there too. I live in Lawton, Oklahoma. DesignWorks Group just opened up an agency in Lawton, but I went ahead and put our Wichita Falls contact information. And then this is my email address. So if you're interested in me emailing you this PowerPoint, or if you're interested in any more detailed information on digital marketing, social media, website development, I mean, it's a lot of information, but we do training, consulting. We also help manage social media. We build websites. We do SEO and SEM. Everything that we talked about today, we can help facilitate for you in any form or fashion.
I did have two questions.
Yes.
One question is, can you talk about how to time management? So obviously, if you're dealing with social media, digital media, can you talk about some of the products that you can use to be efficient, like Hootsuite, that type of deal? What, you know, how many other products are there out there that help you do that? Because I know I see that from time to time, that people are using those to manage it, and it takes all of your accounts, you know, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, and it puts it in a desktop application that you can just see everything that's going on with your different accounts. Because obviously, pulling up Facebook, pulling up Twitter, pulling up all these and checking those, that's kind of pretty tedious, but...
Yes, and I actually, Hootsuite is one that I would recommend, only because it's one of the only outlets that you can pull multiple social accounts into. So then your Hootsuite account, you log in and you can have your Facebook and your Twitter, and I believe they just added something else too. I can't remember. But in that one dashboard, you can actually see your Twitter newsfeed, your Facebook newsfeed. It's great because then it's just one login instead of multiple logins. And then something else to take advantage of too within Hootsuite is scheduling out posts. So a lot of times people don't have, time every day to sit down every morning and create really good, engaging content. And so sometimes that's when we're at home and the kids are in bed and, we're, kind of done with life towards the end of the night. And sometimes that's a good time to sit down and actually look at, all right, what am I going to post out this week? What am I going to talk to my, Facebook fans about? And then you can schedule those out. Something, too, to think about in scheduling, you can go back to your Facebook Insights and see what time of day and what day of the week the majority of your fans are actually online. And people don't take that into consideration. And so then instead of saying, all right, well, I'm going to carve out every morning 30 minutes from 8 to 8:30, and I'm going to post on all of my social media outlets. That may be the worst time of day to post, and you don't even know it. But you're making the effort. You're not seeing the results, and part of that is because you're not listening to your users. And part of that listening is going online and looking at when do they want to hear my message? When are they going to be online? And so then you can utilize something like Hootsuite where you know that it's more beneficial to post at 9 o'clock at night than it is at 9 o'clock in the morning.
I had one more comment.
Yes.
We've had a number of, I don't know if this is happening to anybody else, but we've had a number of consumers calling us looking for a business. They say, yeah, is this XYZ brake and tire? Is this XYZ water? And you're like, no, this is the Better Business Bureau. And they said, well, we had it. We just hung up a couple times thinking, well, they just got the wrong number. Well, we come to find out that on their mobile search, you could search XYZ tire. And the first thing that came up was the BBB information. And so they hit call. They don't see the number. They hit call, and it calls us. They think they're talking to XYZ tire. So we started logging that, and we've talked to several of the businesses, and you need to get a Google Place, because if Google doesn't have information for you, it's going to go to where there is information, and obviously the BBB does have a lot of information, but we're not the contact for the company. But for whatever reason, I think there's about 5, 6 companies now that we've been tracking the past 3 weeks, that people are calling for that business because they did a search in Google. So, you know, I wasn't, you know, Google Play, so I'm like, okay, whatever. But now that we see this, I mean, you don't want to be losing customers to a competition or to a database, BBB. Obviously, we give them the number. Here, let me give you the number so you can call them directly. Because if you just go and search it again, it's just going to give you the BBB number. And it's going to tell you to come here, 2107 Kemp, for some water. And, you know, our water is our own. You know, we're not going to give you our water. So, that, you know, that's really important. And I think that's kind of the nugget that I took away from one of the things that we're going to make sure we stress to our businesses. Make sure you get on Google, claim your Google Plays, and you know, get your Google Plus account, because Google's, that's where they're going to for information.
Yes, especially, I mean, you just take into consideration everything that we even talked today about mobile, period. So more people are doing mobile searches than desktop searches. If you don't have a mobile-friendly website, then it won't be indexed high into the Google searches. And then if you don't update your Google Plus account or claim your Google Plays and update your business information, then people won't be able to call you directly from their search. So it only makes sense to go through some of these. And it may be, you know, that you just carve out some time to just get it done right at the beginning and just knock it out. And then you don't have to worry about, you know, that contact information again, obviously, unless you change your telephone number or you move. But excellent, thank you.
That was bizarre that we had people hanging up on us because when we entered BBB, you know, they're like, what? I didn't call it BBB.
My biggest pet peeve is someone leaving their fax number as the telephone number. So then you call and then it makes all that.
Any more questions for Dara?
Sorry. Okay, for YouTube, utilizing YouTube, is there a certain type of company that should be using YouTube to do marketing? Because the company I work for, our business is business to business. So we're not like going after the average everyday consumer. We're actually going after business owners and people who need, you know, background searches and, you know, tenant information, that kind of thing. So if we were going to go try to utilize YouTube, I don't know what kind of content we would be able to put out there that they're going to be searching for, or if that's even something that business owners go and do to search for a company that is business to business. So I just want to know, like, what kind of company should be using YouTube?
That's a great question. And I think a lot of that would be, I mean, we can sit down and kind of dig into that. I definitely, you know, right off the bat, I'm not going to sit here and say that every single business needs to be on YouTube, or that every single business needs to be on Pinterest, or that every single business needs to do any one of these single things. Only because part of my job is making sure that you are utilizing the correct outlet for your target audience. Now I do know that, I mean, whether or not it's business to consumer or business to business, sometimes there's great placement for video, and it's just about being creative with it. And that also goes into that anticipation of your consumer behavior searches. So what do you think that the business owners are going to be searching when they're looking for your business? So regardless if they're business owners, they're still your customers. So then you just have to look at, all right, how are people going to find us online, and what exactly are they going to be looking for? And then maybe you think, how can we educate them on our business or our service? How can we change their mind about our business or service? A lot of digital marketing too can be about reputation monitoring, where people might already have like a preconceived notion about your business, and you can change that idea through how you communicate online. And that could be through videos, or that could be through your communication on your social outlets. But definitely, that's part of my job too, is for you to call me and say, Dara, I need some help. Do you think that we should be on YouTube, and what kind of videos? And then we can sit down and really dig into some of that information. So I'm looking forward to your telephone call.
I had one question before we wrap it up, unless anybody else has any more questions. How do you search in Google for your mentions? I want to see what somebody's saying about Cosme and Kid in a second. there's a way that you can have Google alert you every time that's something's put out there, and I think businesses can use that. They can put in there, you know, Cosme's Tire Shop, and it'll let me know if somebody's talking about me on Facebook or just through Google. Is that right? Am I understanding that correct?
I believe you can. I haven't.
I've
Gone
tried
into
it.
depth on
I have
that.
set up a Google alert on my
Yeah,
phone.
Google alerts.
And I will say that 99% of the time that the alert is on a different penny miller.
Oh.
But if something is in there, it'll send me something to say, hey, you were mentioned, and then I click on it and it's somebody else.
Yeah.
So, but nonetheless, it's easy to set up. I don't remember how I did it now, but I'm sure it only took me
Okay.
1 minute to set it up to get it.
I wasn't for sure if that was something that's utilized in the.
Just do a search. for
Part
Google
of,
alerts.
yeah, and to answer your question, we are part of that reputation monitoring. So like if you didn't utilize an agency or you didn't utilize our services to help assist you in that reputation monitoring, then you would set that up. And I think that that's the only reason why I
Okay.
may not be too familiar with that, because we just dig into every outlet for
Right,
business and search for what people are saying.
Well, thank you, Dara.
Yes.
This program has been presented by the Better Business Bureau.